What's up, y'all? It's your girl Kiki, and welcome back to another Bridge podcast. So today we're going to be discussing a topic that's a bit heated in the culture right now. It's kind of a hot topic. It's about a documentary that has been going on for a couple weeks now, and I have two very special guests with me today to discuss on this topic. So I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves.
What's going on? My name is Ray. I happen to be a leader here at the Bridge, and I've been dying to be on this podcast so I can get at Keeks because she's been saying some stuff, and I got to address a few things.
But I'm right though. Just gonna put that
Let's
there.
just say that for the rest of the podcast. Right. Just a little bit about me. I'm 19 years old. I'm a student at U Ottawa. Yeah, I mean, I'm a pretty basic guy. Simple. You know what I mean?
Hi guys, my name is Michelle Massunken. I'm excited to have this conversation. I think it's a very important conversation to have. My professional background is in clinical social work, and so I work a lot with individuals who have experienced depression, anxiety, who have low self-esteem, who have trauma, whether it's sexual trauma or military trauma or any sort of trauma. That's kind of the area that I work in as well. On a personal note, I have a cute little boy at home. He's so precious.
The cutest baby ever.
And a lovely husband who's very supportive as well, another one on the way. And together, my husband and I love to mentor young professionals, and we pastor as young professionals at TLC as well. So we're excited to get into this conversation and talk about some really important stuff.
Yes. Let's get right into it. So I'm just going to give a brief background of the documentary itself. So the documentary is entitled Surviving R. Kelly. And basically, it's a series of, I shouldn't say series, but basically it's a series of testimonials of girls that have been affected by R. Kelly, whether in a relationship with him or just being affiliated with R. Kelly and his staff and his industry itself. And these girls are coming out to say that they have been mistreated by R. Kelly, either physically abused, emotionally abused, financially abused, because they have been sold a hopeful dream by R. Kelly, but then they did not receive exactly what they thought they were in for. And essentially, the majority of these girls ended up living a cult life, a cult type style of a life, with R. Kelly, just by, kind of being told, you know what, you're going to be somebody, but then they were kind of trapped into whatever they ended up being into. And now they're coming out, and a lot of people are not agreeing with the fact that they're coming out, essentially because most of these girls are coming out and saying their story after 9 years, after 10 years, 15 years. Some people are thinking that, you know what, it's a money issue, or maybe it's because he's a big celebrity, they just want to bring him down. But there's a lot of different opinions, and we're just going to discuss about that today. Me and Razia, we actually have very opposite opinions on the story. I believe that R. Kelly should not be supported in any way. Whether with his music or the person that he is. I understand that, maybe other people have done what R. Kelly has done, but it doesn't change the fact that he's done horrible things and that he's put these girls in life-threatening situations. So I'm just not okay with that at all.
But don't make it seem like I'm just over here okay with it.
I'm not making it seem
I
like
have a tattoo of R. Kelly on my chest. You know what I mean? Like, don't make it seem like
I'm not trying to say that you're all for R. Kelly, but in a sense, you're kind of not against him. Am I not right?
Nah, you're not right.
Okay, so what exactly are you saying? Because these girls that we're talking about are minors.
Right. No, for sure.
So there's a difference between being against the person and against his behavior. Okay. But I'm sure you're against something.
For sure. I feel like that whole the cult that he's developed is sickening. I think he needs help, both clinically, spiritually. I think he needs to be in jail and serve some sort of time. But at the same time, I also feel like we need to separate the art from the artist.
But when you separate the art from the artist, that's still supporting the artist. It's kind of saying like, I know that what you did is wrong, but your music is so good, I cannot resist.
No, but okay. I bet if we were to go back into the annals of history and look at, these painters and these musicians like Mozart and stuff like that, they definitely have some skeletons in their closet. Does that mean that we shouldn't be, patronizing their music and their classics that they've written? Because we don't know what they've done in their past.
So you don't think that we should stop listening to his music because of what he's done? Is that what? And you think we should?
I think that we should. We should boycott him completely. Like, he should be, like, not, like, gone. Go to jail, get dealt with, stop your music, everything.
But how does that change? How does that solve the issue?
Thank you.
How does that solve the fact that he's done what he's done and continues to do what he's done?
The thing,
boycotting, I don't, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you.
The thing is, it kind of still shows them that, you know what, we're not agreeing with what you're doing.
Okay.
Whatever he's done has been done. But at the same time, a lot of these things, it's almost like he himself knows that what he did is wrong, yet he bigs himself up because of it. He gains ego of it. He's making songs about these girls. People are just not thinking about it. Like, he's talking about these things. Age ain't nothing but a number. Everybody's saying it like, yeah, yeah, you're talking about a little girl that you probably molested, raped, or whatnot, but you're enjoying it. So you're kind of making a love story out of it, which is wrong. It's disgusting. So why should I continue to listen to your music? Maybe it's not going to solve the issue and bring us back in time and stop this, but at least it's going to show you, you know what, we're not okay with you. We're not on your side. You need to be dealt with. You need to be treated, or...
Okay, you know what? You raised some valid points, but okay, let's talk about the actual docu-series itself.
Okay.
Me personally, I couldn't finish the docu-series. I watched the first episode, and I couldn't watch anymore, to be honest, because
But why is that? Why couldn't you not watch it?
Because no matter how... You
couldn't watch it.
No, I could. I watched like 15 minutes of it, and then I'm like, I can't. Like, why am I condoning this? I feel like I'm sort of supporting him in a way too. By watching
But you're kind of enlightening yourself. Like, you're kind of learning, like, not, how do I say it? Informing yourself of who this person really is. Like, there's actually people like this in the world that need to be, like, stopped. So it's not, I don't think it's a sense of supporting him, but it's a sense of being aware. Like, they were definitely trying to create a type of awareness on this type of issue. Even with having supporters like the founder of the Me Too movement, she was in there. Me Too is really in right now. So bringing this out is kind of pushing back to the Me Too and saying, you guys, this Me Too stuff should have been here back then too. This Me Too stuff should have been something that we're continuing to protest, continuing to be for. So I don't think it's supporting him.
And so I guess that's confusing, because I ended up watching more than 15 minutes.
Okay.
So that happened like days after. I'm like, I need to at least find out what's going on here. But when I'm watching it, I'm still disturbed, because I'm looking at this and I'm like, so now people are being informed, but back then people were informed. He had his personal assistants, he had a lot of people who were informed. What changed? They supported him.
They did.
It kept going. They were the ones booking hotels for him. Yep. They were the ones booking flights for him. They were finding these girls for him.
Yep.
And so it's like, you need to have the right people informed. And that means people who are going to find justice for these girls, and not just using it as like information to have. Because it's like, you can have the information, but what are you going to do with the information? What do you do with it is what matters.
That's true. The thing about the people informed, you see, even me and Ray had this conversation a couple days ago, and Ray brought up a very common aspect that a lot of people would ignore a situation like this because of that, which is money. Money is a big thing. In my defense, I feel like money shouldn't silence a situation, regardless of how much sum you're getting. I understand that, you know what, maybe the people that were in his staff didn't want to say anything because this is their source of income. This is how they feed their family. This is how, they live. They live off of serving R. Kelly, and if they go against him, something bad could happen to them. They might not be able to put food in their children's mouths or whatever. But should that be a reason, how do I say this?
To perpetuate his behavior.
Exactly.
Where do morals and values come in all of this?
No, but at the same time, of course, morals and values, but when you need to put food on the table for your child, you need to do what needs to be done.
You silence your morals?
For sure.
Okay,
I'm not saying you silence your morals, but there's some stuff you just needed. Like, if your child is hungry, how are you going to go every day, go back to your house, look at your child that's hungry, and just say, you know what, because of my morals don't put food on the table.
What you do is you think of that little girl and think, that could be my child.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
If that was your child, I bet you anything.
No, go ahead.
There's a book that one of the girls wrote anonymously. I can send it to all you guys because I found it, journalism. Anyways, there's a book that she wrote anonymously, and there was actually some people that were trying to help, like, the girls get away.
Yeah.
And he killed them. Yeah, so just. Yeah.
What?
That's crazy.
I didn't know that.
But they this because
Allegedly.
Like
Yeah.
he had assassins.
but
three of the girls mentioned the guy in their personal books and in interviews, and he would like try to help them, and then like R. Kelly raped him in front of them. And
Oh my gosh.
this is the thing. This is the thing. That's why he has this cult style of a life. He kind of scares the girls into thinking, you know what, if you leave me, this is what's gonna happen to you. And now they're threatened. But let's go back to the point of the story where we're talking about, you know, feeding mouths, you know, these young girls and all that stuff. If we look back at the situation, let's look at the relationship that R. Kelly had with Aaliyah. Everybody knows Aaliyah. She was a popular singer at the
who's
time.
Aaliyah? I'm just kidding.
So Aaliyah was 15 years old, and she was working with R. Kelly, and that was one of his first artists that he was working with. And she was very talented, but she was very matured for her age. Although she was 15, she looked 20-something. She acted 20-something, but she was 15 years old. It's almost like in the sense that America, because she carried herself so maturely, they kind of forgot about her age, and they were kind of okay with the fact that R. Kelly and Aaliyah were always together, yet nobody said anything. That's an uncomfortable situation itself. If you have a 15-year-old daughter, how would you feel of her always being around a 17-year-old man, 27-year-old man alone? Yes, we know it's a producer.
That wouldn't be the case.
But she's underage.
The other question is, where are the parents?
Thank
Where-
you.
This
Oh
is
my
the
gosh.
thing. This is the thing. We know that it's a case of where the parents, but the parents are also being informed in a professional manner. They're being promised, you know what, we're going to take care of your daughter. We're going to make her into the star that she wants to be. They're giving them papers, making everything look professional, yet behind closed doors, it's a complete different story. Can you blame the parents for not seeing?
So are these girls coming home though?
No.
Because he still has a cult as we speak, right?
He
Like, it's
still
still
has
going
a
on.
cult
Right,
as
right.
he speaks. Yes. The youngest girl that he
I'm
has.
sorry to interject. I'm sorry.
No, it's great. It's great. It's great.
I just feel like the parents, like, I think it should be mentioned also that the parents, even though they were naive and oblivious, because he had done it once before with Aaliyah, and we actually saw that he was successful in making her a star, I feel like as a
They held on to the hope.
yeah.
Exactly.
So it's not necessarily, can you really blame the parents then? Because like,
But look
I
at the
don't think you
stats.
can.
Look
I
at
don't think you
probability.
can.
Yeah.
How many girls are there that he's gone through or have gone through this cult system? One. And then how many girls has he made and brought into stardom?
but then at the
One.
same time, do you,
So
you
if
don't
I'm a
know
parent,
how
I'm looking at this.
Yeah, you don't
that
know
it's
it.
just your daughter. So you think
Yeah.
your daughter
So you don't know that there's other girls in this.
You don't know.
That's a problem.
You don't know.
Okay,
And
okay.
that's how, as a parent, if you have a 16-year-old that's going to be in another state, you'd make sure that you check.
Thank
out
you.
that-
That's
Take
all
it,
I'm
but
saying.
take it.
There's nowhere my 18-year-old even
No.
is going to be in another country.
But take in-
unsupervised with the star that's a male that already has
That
a
is true.
history.
Yeah,
That
but
is true.
it-
But
it-
listen, at the time,
No,
at
that's
the
not
time,
happening.
what he was doing wasn't common. It wasn't out yet. With Aaliyah, it wasn't out
No,
yet.
no, but he,
If my
It
daughter
wasn't-
is 15, 16, 17, 18, everywhere you go, sweetheart, with that man, I'm going. Because at the end of the day, America is not a place where all black girls are safe. There have been problems before. Parents are already on guard because if it was a 27-year-old man that was not a star, that parent where are you going? You would have brought the child back. So I feel like as a parent, you should have made sure, even if you're getting papers, even if you're getting this, most of them didn't read the paper. They probably just didn't sign it. They should have
That's
gone
true.
with them. You
That's
should have
true, but at the
also-
same time-
Also, for the people that actually watched the documentary, you know what I'm saying? For those of us that finished it, we know that the people, whilst they were underage, they were in contact with their parents. He would
Yep.
let them go home. He would let them talk to their parents.
Sometimes.
But as
And
soon
sometimes.
as they hit the age of 18, when they were no longer
Yep.
under their parents' control,
Yep.
that was when he began the call.
That's when he
okay,
became.
okay, no, but here.
But Aaliyah was under 18. He still had her.
Aaliyah was
He
15 years
married
old,
her.
but this is the thing.
Parents allowed.
But this is the thing with Aaliyah. Aaliyah was the niece of one of the people that R. Kelly was working with. So already there, because his niece, the uncle, is working with R. Kelly, the parents are going to trust, you know what, your uncle is around. That's fine. You can't blame the parent for being with somebody that they trust.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So did Barry know what was actually happening?
He did not know.
Okay,
He
that
didn't know that
changes
R.
things.
Kelly was like that. But this is the thing. So now Aaliyah and R. Kelly develop a relationship, and one thing leads to another, and he lays with Aaliyah, and then he realizes at that point that what he was doing was wrong. That's the one thing too that didn't sit well with me. Why is it that only after you realize that you laid with her and she could potentially be pregnant that you realize, oh my God, I laid with a minor, that is wrong? I don't understand how that itself is when you click like that. I don't understand. So what do you guys have to say about that? Is this something that you guys would say, oh, you know, they were already working together? How would you know? Or
no. Okay, first off, that's as I said earlier, he needs help. He needs all sorts of help. But at the same time, I feel like there's been that trial he'd undergone with, you know, that tape he had with.
The tape came afterwards.
But that was around what, 2000, 2001?
I believe
around
so.
2000.
I believe so.
But aren't a lot of these girls in that documentary there post that alleged trial or court case?
If they post it?
No, they came to his cult or whatever afterwards.
The whole
sex tape, right?
Yeah, so the thing is...
So why, first off, as a parent, why would I even allow my child...
Knowing that this guy has a
This is the
pending...
thing.
He has a history.
Yeah.
And it's not like it was like one of those things where it's like, maybe it was him, but no, it's not you. No.
You know, there's
Dave
only one R.
Chappelle
Kelly.
made a whole meme about it. It was culturally relevant.
The thing
You know what I
is,
mean?
the thing is, he was proven not guilty. So the parents and other people were thinking, you know what? This stuff happens so commonly. Girls are gonna say, "Oh, this rapper got me pregnant. This rapper raped me." Blah 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 blah.
But
blah,
that's what
to
parents
get
have
money.
to understand, that that's what the cycle of abuse is all about. You're not going to have an abuser who's out there confessing that he abused you.
Yeah.
Abusers are going to deny, and blame the victim. And that's why the victims don't come forth, because they always think, who's going to believe me?
Yep.
Who am I going to actually be able to confide in? Who's actually going to take what I'm saying for face value? And so if parents were more aware, I think that's where education has to come out too. Like, what does abuse actually look like? You know, if your daughter is complaining, or if your daughter is saying something, or whatever the case is, or information's out there, the abuser is not accepting it, look into it further. Don't just take that for face value.
This is a thing, though. A lot of the things, like even within the cult life issue, the parents did not have access to their daughters. They were promised, and they were keeping in contact with their daughters until the point that they were just not allowed. Like, every call that was coming to them from the parents had to be approved by R. Kelly. And even at that, the R. Kelly was monitoring what these girls were saying to their parents. So can you blame them for that?
No, but
they're trying to they're being
in fear.
responsible.
Yeah, no, for
Exactly,
sure.
they're being
Yeah.
responsible. The parents are being responsible enough to keep in contact with the child. But if somebody is in between that and not allowing the parents to do what they're supposed to do,
Your hands are tied.
is that the parents' fault?
no, it's not I just feel like, honestly, I just feel like there's holes in this story. I just feel like there's holes.
Think there's more to it?
Yeah, I just feel like there's always more
What do
to
you
it.
think? You're
Because
gonna
you
say
know what I
that-
mean? The Bible says money is the root of all evil. So I feel like whether the parents received some sort of payoff, or they were upset with some sort of deal that they worked out because they didn't get their money. Like, I feel like there's some
more to
hole.
it.
There's more to the
So
story.
you're thinking that money is what kind of
For sure.
has the... I feel like that's one thing that we've trained ourselves to kind of feel like it's okay. Like, oh, you know, money was involved. That's why she's acting that way. Meanwhile, it shouldn't be that way.
No,
and
for
even
sure.
if money was involved, that doesn't change the fact that what is going on is going on. It doesn't change the fact that this is wrong.
Yeah.
So that's another factor.
And I think the other factor is the mindset, the mentality, both of the victim and both of the perpetrator. So I think, but then as we listen to the documentary series, or as a docu-series, we know that he himself was a victim.
Right.
You know, and
Yes.
so there's so many underlying factors
Right.
that are perpetuating this kind of behavior, that are causing him to do what he's doing. He's not just doing it because money is a factor for sure.
Yeah.
Fame is probably a factor for the girls.
Yeah.
Like, parents and their hope is a factor for them as well too. But if we look at all these other factors, I think there's still like precipitating factors even beyond those ones, which for me looks at the mindset and the mentality
Yeah.
of these people.
For
There's
sure.
more going on
For sure.
that
Yeah.
hasn't been resolved. We have to get to the root of the issue.
So if
sure.
we're looking at him being molested, because he did mention, they did speak about that he was molested, him and his brothers were molested when they were children. My only thing is, when he was a child, he was kind of hiding the fact that he was molested. He didn't want to speak about it. He wanted to act like it never happened.
Which kids do.
Exactly. But it only took, and his brothers did not react the same way that he did. It only took until he got famous for him to act that way towards minors. It took when he got popularity to act that way.
But that's
against-
what people do. So, like, having having personal, essentially what you're saying is that he basically felt powerless and he didn't come out with it. He didn't talk about it throughout his whole childhood.
Okay.
His kids, or his brothers, I should say, presented in a different way.
Yeah.
They all were molested in different ways by the same person perhaps, but they're not going to manifest it the same way.
Yeah.
But essentially what you're saying is that he felt powerless until he actually became powerful.
Right.
And so it tells us then that he was, in his personal life, he always felt powerless.
Right.
But now that he's gained worldly fame, he feels that he's become more powerful and can exert that power on those who he sees as powerless as well, too. So it's really a power struggle is what it comes down to. No, and that's how I see it.
No, and that's great. That's another point. And that's another reason why, like, I felt that the docuseries, even from the first part I watched, I feel like it was just so... I feel like they didn't spend enough time on the effects of what child molestation can do to an individual. You know what I mean? Like, being molested for... I recently watched an interview of one of his younger brothers that was also a part of the molestation. Yeah. And being molested for 6 years by a family member will do something to you. You know what I mean? It will definitely set something off in you. Of course. So I feel like they've been painting him as a devil, but no one's really understanding his psychological process and what that can actually do to you as a person.
Like, why is he even doing this?
Exactly, and I feel like the more I think about it, I feel like maybe those girls and what he's doing in this cult he's assembled is sort of his way of getting back at his sister or exuding his anger of what was done to him as a kid onto other young people. So I feel like there's more to it, and I feel like people are just taking on Twitter's opinions and claiming those opinions as their own beliefs and their own ideologies. And
I understand that, but at the same time, it's like, yes, he's expressing this the way that he is, but yes, he also knows that what he's doing is wrong. And what's even more disgusting about this is that he's basically exposing himself through his music, but in denial when people bring it up to him up front. Why is it that he's showing people two different sides of him? It's kind of like, oh, I'm not this type of person that does this to women, but yet let me sing about it because you guys are gonna rock with it. Or, let me express it this way. Why is it that instead of kind of like dealing with it as a different type of way, he's putting it in music in a way that everybody will rock to it? And it's not like people don't know what is going on. People are aware, but people just choose not to kind of like do something about it. Is that another way of, like, I don't know, coming out? Is that his way of expressing himself, or expressing his anger? Would you say that it's that another way, or would you guys just agree that, you know what, it's just...
Like his music is his way of expressing his anger?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think that's like for everybody. Everyone has an outlet. For some people, it's sports. Some people, it's art. Some people, it's dancing. Some people, it's music. And when they're in the zone, they're in the zone.
Yeah.
When they're doing their thing, and that's partly what it might be. He might be using his music as a form of expressing his inner feelings or his inner thoughts.
Okay.
And that might be exactly it, where he's not seeing as I'm exposing myself, but more so these are my deep desires, or these are my thoughts, or these are my, my fantasies, or whatever the case is. And we're listening to it, not thinking that he means anything by it either. Yeah. Right? Whereas his spirit is actually speaking through those words.
Yeah.
Right. And so that might be his way of expressing it, but we're naive to what he actually means.
Exactly. But it's almost in the sense that he's, I don't want to say covering himself up, but he's kind of using the music to, like, how do I say this? He's basically the same thing. He's kind of using the music to cover himself up, but at the same time, like, for example, he knows, like, what he's doing is wrong, whatever, we went over that. Now, there was a case inside the interview that he did have an interview, inside the documentary that he did have an interview with this one man. And the very first question that the guy asked him was, do you like being, or why are you interested in teenagers? And when he responded to that, that was a basic yes or no question. Yeah. And he went above and beyond, basically, like, made the question so complicated. He pauses and he goes, when we're saying teenagers, what are we talking about? What age are we talking about? Yeah. Like, it's teenager.
Yeah.
He wants to clarify.
Exactly, but what more do you need to clarify out of that? Like, what is he trying? It's almost like he's trying to... He's like, he thinks that, how do I say, he brainwashed himself into thinking that what he did is not what he did.
He's sick.
Yeah.
Like, man is not well.
He needs help.
It almost became okay for him to do that. And one thing that we also realized about the whole situation is that kind of like the Aaliyah thing. So he sleeps with Aaliyah, he gets her pregnant, and then his result to cover what he did was let me marry Aaliyah and this is all gonna go away, which makes absolute no sense. It doesn't change the fact that she's a minor. It doesn't change the fact that what you're doing is wrong. But at the same time, whenever he would get into a situation where whatever he did is coming to light, he would go to his manager and be like, look, this is what I did. He confesses to his manager, I don't know how we're gonna do this. You need to help me cover this up. Why is it only at that point that he admits what he does? But then in the eyes of the world, he makes it seem like, you know what? He's in denial about all this. I never did that. It's almost like he believes that what he did was wrong. So why is it that, like, what does that happen? Why is it only when he wants to confess to his manager, and then to everyone else, it's like he doesn't want to be the real him. He doesn't want to show himself that it's true. And it's like, it's not like it's facts that people are making up. It's the truth.
No, for sure. Like as Mish said, I think he's sick. He needs help. But you know, just touching on him marrying a minor, I feel like just looking at what people have to say about this, I feel like it's a bigger topic than we think. I feel like just because R. Kelly is a famous person, that all the attention is on this certain topic. But what about those? There's a lot of, we know a lot of cases, especially in Africa and in different countries across the world. There's a lot of children that get married to
human trafficking.
Like this, I feel like people are being so selective with this canceling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just because he's a famous person and he's going through this, people are so blind to the fact that this is a whole bigger issue. And I was talking to Keeks, was it yesterday? 2 days ago. I feel like people are uncovering this situation, but I don't think they're really ready to uncover a whole history of this thing that's going on.
People choose not to see that side of him. He shows himself so like angelic to people that they don't want to believe that he could have done this. Like, for example, with the whole situation with Aaliyah. No. Actually, let me talk about this point. So once he started, like, he had a situation where he peed on a girl, or a younger girl, a minor. And that became, like, a comedy thing. Everybody made fun of it and all that stuff. Yet, to cover up that situation because it was so heated, he made a Christian song. He goes ahead and makes I Believe I Can Fly. Now, these songs are getting played in churches, and everybody's, like, hopeful, like, nah. R. Kelly could have never done those things. Look at him, that Christian man. Look how he's praising God. Like, how he's trying to, how do I say, he's playing with people's...
he's manipulating people.
Manipulating people and, like, painting a different picture, but truly, he's still doing the things that he's doing. It's almost like he knows that if I don't cover my butt, I'm going down the drain. He knows that himself, but people still continue to say, you know what, I don't want to believe that it's true. And then maybe that goes back into the fact that maybe parents are being naive to these things because they're allowing their children to do that. And then it's kind of hard to believe that somebody that did something so great, like you have a man coming to you and saying, hey, I can make this happen for you, like that. So they're going to take it and they're going to ignore all the factors that are coming with it because they want to get to that one goal. It's harder for them to prove themselves and to get into this industry. So yet their self-esteem, instead of believing in themselves and saying, you know what, I'm worth something more than this, I'm worth actually being treated properly and getting my goals are gonna happen, I need to believe in myself. That's something that I feel like wasn't really promoted back then. It's like, it's the industry, you know, if you do this, you'll get there. If you do a sexual favor or if you do some type of thing, like you're gonna get there, but that's what you have to do just because of the color of your skin. It's just gonna be that way.
For sure, I feel like our whole culture is backwards. Why, in the first place, why do these colored girls or these black girls want to be singers? Why do they want to be entertainers so bad? Why don't they want to be doctors? Why don't they want to be... So I feel like our whole culture is backwards, you know what I mean? While people of other races and people of other colors are striving towards something else, they still admire the singers, all these people. They still go to the concerts, still front row, turning up, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, they know, okay, I don't think I want to be a singer. I want to go and do something else.
That goes back to your point, though. It's really about knowing your self-worth, knowing who I am. If I know who I am, I don't see any limits to my potential. I don't see any obstacles that can get in the way of where I want to go, who I can be. I don't see being a singer as my only option or only alternative. And therefore, I'm not going to sell myself short to reach a goal that is not the only potential that I'm capable of reaching. So it really comes back down to how do you see yourself and how do you view yourself? Because the way that we see ourselves is how we project ourselves. And that's how others are going to treat us as well, too. So you might have two girls who were approached by R. Kelly, one having lower self-esteem, following the dream and going through it, the other one saying, you know what, I'm good. I know my worth. I know my potential. And then they don't become victims of that. So it's really about who do you see? How do you even see yourself? How do you project yourself to other people?
That's a big thing, because he did also mention in the documentary that he would target younger girls because they were easier to manipulate. Yeah. They were easier to get in their head and to do what he wanted.
I believe that.
Meanwhile, older girls, I guess in the sense that they knew themselves a little bit more, they knew that they cannot be played. So if R. Kelly was to come at them the way that he's coming at these 14, 15-year-olds, they wouldn't have that. Yet these girls are so weak within themselves. And I guess this plays a factor with the parents too. What are you telling your daughter for her to accept to be treated this way? And it's like, girls know better. Like, women have gut feelings. They know better. You know something is going to happen way before it even happens. You have an instinct. So why is it that girls cannot tap into that and say, you know what, I know this guy's famous, but this is not right. I shouldn't be doing it. Why is it that you guys think that, you know what, these girls are not allowing themselves to actually step forward? If we're not talking about the music, the fact that they have a hope, like, why is it that they cannot just be like, you know what, this is wrong?
Okay, but now let's look at his psychological standpoint. In the documentary, were there any girls of any other race?
Other race?
Yeah.
There was mixed girls and black girls.
Only mixed girls and black girls?
Only mixed girls and black
girls. No white girls, no Hispanic girls, no...
No, I don't think
so. So what gave him the confidence to even only poach mixed girls and black girls?
I think it was an easier target, to be honest.
So and that's what you're talking about. So we're looking at age, so 14 to 15-year-olds. We're looking at race, black girls. We're probably looking at socioeconomic backgrounds, probably lower to mid, housing income. These girls are a lot more vulnerable, right? They're easier bait to catch. They're easier to wheel in. They're easier to convince. They're easier to manipulate. And so what is it that made this so appealing? And that's why this podcast is so important, because if you're thinking about these girls and the age group as well too, just because you're not hearing something from dad or from mom, or just because you're not being validated or you're not being reassured, doesn't mean that you don't have worth. It doesn't mean that you don't have value, and it doesn't mean that you have to project that as well either. You know, you have to know who you are in Christ first and foremost. And if you don't know who you are in Christ, anybody can come and manipulate you. They don't have to be a singer. They can be a guy selling drugs on the street. They can be a guy in your high school. They can be anyone who can just come and swindle their way to you because you don't know who you are. You haven't identified who you are. You don't know who your identity is. You know, so I think for a lot of these girls, it's really like looking at their characteristics. These are all things that make them less vulnerable. So I think for parents and for children alike, or teenagers alike, we have to be careful what we're telling, what information we're pumping to our children. What are we telling them?
I also feel like it's the way that the parents are handling the situation. So yes, we spoke about, you know, they're being told in a professional manner that your child is being I guess, taken care of and whatnot. But I feel like the way that your parents act is the way that you're also gonna act. So if somebody's coming to you and he's a big person, he has a lot of money, and you think that, I don't wanna say you're selling your daughter to them, but it's kind of a way, you're kind of using your daughter to be like, wow, maybe we can get out of our financial situation. You should go with them. Exactly. So because the parents are also being like, you know what, go ahead, be with this man, just call me, whatever, and all these things.
That's like added pressure.
Exactly, but it's almost like the parents are, I don't wanna say supporting themselves, but they're kind of like, how do I say? They're kind of having their own backs into taking care. They're kind of using their daughters in order to like get what they need out of it, and then they realize, you know what, this is wrong, whatever. Had they been more confident within themselves, more confident that, you know what, things are going to be okay, maybe they wouldn't have, you know, allowed a situation like this to even occur. Because essentially, it doesn't matter who you are. Your 14-year-old should not be with a 27-year-old and over.
He's an easy target, but I'm not excusing his behavior at all. He's sick, he needs help, but at the same time, I think we should look at all the aspects of it.
That's true. Another thing that a lot of people are saying too is a lot of people are pointing the finger at the victims and saying, why would they allow themselves to be in this? But the real question is, why should we allow men to act this way and say that, you know what, it's not the men the problem that are acting this way, it's the women? Like, we shouldn't be saying that, right? It's kind of like the whole rape thing when men are saying, oh, you know, if you dress this way, you will get raped. Meanwhile, it's not the problem of the girl. It's not, I didn't come out here dressed like this so that you could do this to me. It's not a calling. It's not something for you to say, hey, come and do this to me. It's just how I decided to dress. I'm not provoking anything. So how can we kind of change the culture and make it seem like, you know what, we need to raise men to act accordingly, to act properly, and to not act out about a situation like this, to go get help. A lot of people, a lot of men are even ashamed about situations like this. They won't want to go get help. Some people think that it's like more of a feminine thing. So what do you guys think that we could do as a society, as a community, to kind of stop this type of behavior that's going on?
I think it starts with what we're doing right now, just here talking about it, getting it out there. I think once we're getting it out there, we're helping to break the stigma, right? It's like, it's not a bad thing to talk about the fact that molestation happens regardless of your gender. You know, and so a lot of guys might think, well, this is making me less of a man, or this is making me weak, or whatever the case is. But I think talking about it is the first step, just not making it like a taboo topic. You know, and even as a society, there's lots of organizations now who have programs specifically for men who've been molested, you know, and that's new, because before you always had like battered women and all that kind of stuff, but now it's like we realize that men are also victims of this as well too. So I think now as a society we're getting into the stance of like, let's also protect our men or even our children, right? So we have like children's aid and things like that too. So I think we're growing and recognizing that, but I think more dialogue and more conversation needs to continuously happen around this topic. So that it's not like one of those hot topics that you only talk about or that are taboo to talk about, but just talking about it freely without feeling as if, you know, it's off limits or anything like that.
Yeah.
No, for sure. I feel it's a great point. I even feel like even what we do here at the Bridge is also great help to you know, what people may be going through in terms of the healing process, in terms of even finding someone they can trust to open up to, because I feel like there's some things that happen in life, we tend to bury them, so especially negative things that have happened in our childhood or when we were younger. We tend to bury them as we grow older. So I feel like you know, finding someone you trust. You know, here at the Bridge we have exceptional leaders that you know, people could find solace in and you know, really open up to, and through that way we can find a way to sort of help you know, people that go through this situation all the time. So I feel like what we do here at the Bridge is definitely something unique and something that's definitely needed in the community.
That's true.
Yeah, so.
I agree.
If I'm being honest with you, you know, when you're young and you're being a teenager, you know what is right and wrong, but sometimes you don't act accordingly. Like the Bible says, you know, women are beautifully and wonderfully made. The Bible reminds us that, you know what, God is within you. You will not fall. How can we do that to reassure that, you know what, situations like this, you need to be able to sustain yourself with God and to actually believe in yourself that you can go through it. Like you can, not go through it. You can overcome it. You can actually even prevent it. How is it that we can make it, how do I say this, more easier for girls to be okay with the fact that, you know what, this is wrong, whatever, and kind of step back and make it seem like, you know what, I can't allow myself to be manipulated this easy. How is it that we can do that? Because sometimes girls will be more, I find, emotionally invested in situations like this. Like maybe based on the testimonies that we have. A lot of the girls were emotionally invested. So maybe that's a reason why they find themselves difficult to leave, because they believe that they love a man and they believe that this man loves them. Meanwhile, it's a complete different thing. So how can we reassure girls that, you know what, this is, first of all, not okay. You need to be confident within yourself. You can overcome this, and basically that. How do you guys think that we should?
I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to reassure somebody if they don't believe it themselves, right? So I don't know how we can reassure somebody.
I feel like that's even the problem,
though. I shouldn't have to reassure you. Like, I need to know who I am. Whether you tell me or not, if I don't believe it, that's falling on deaf ears. It's going in one ear, coming out the other. If I'm not believing it for myself, if I don't see it in myself, if I don't get in the Word and find out that I actually have been fearfully and wonderfully made. If I don't find out that I am the apple of his eye, if I don't find out that he has thoughts about me, that he loves me, that he calls me his friend, if I don't believe that for myself, whatever you tell me, as much as you try to reassure me, it's not going to do anything to me.
You can't help someone that doesn't want to be helped.
So I don't know. I don't think we can. I think that you need to know who you are. You need to know what your worth is. Like you need to know, okay, if he actually bled and died for me, then I must be worthy. There must be something about me that he sees in me that I might not see myself. You know, and the thing is that we might not always understand, you know, where or how things are being led. We might not come from the best family backgrounds. We might not have dad telling us every day that we're beautiful, or mom there for us, and all that kind of stuff there too. And that becomes challenging as well, right? But we have to also realize that we have a father who's even greater than our earthly father. You know, and knowing that in of itself doesn't allow us to put all of our faith into just our parents, or just the validation of our teachers, or the validation of our friends. We look for validation in higher beings than just those who we talk to on a regular basis. And if you don't do that, you're going to be failed continuously. Because people aren't going to remember to send you reminders that you're beautiful or validate you. You have to be able to find that reassurance in yourself. I can't reassure you for you.
That is true. You can't be finding someone else to fill
to validate you
that you have inside of you.
Because that's how you end up like these girls, right? They want something so bad. It's like however I have to sacrifice, whatever I have to do, I'm willing to do it because I want this so bad. There's this void in me that needs to be filled. Right? But we have to realize that we have to come to a place of wholeness on our own through Christ, not just through, you know, publicity and power and control and money and stuff like that.
And I feel like that it even becomes more difficult, especially in this Instagram and social media climate, where it's like the only way you know that you're of a certain status in society is by followers, by your likes. I feel like we need to stop looking for validation from social media and from our phones and from Twitter and from wherever, and really find, you know, who we are in Christ. And I feel like it always starts in Christ.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So I feel like that's
where reassurance comes from, I think.
Right.
In conclusion, had these girls been more confident within themselves and who they are in God's eyes, they probably wouldn't have been in these situations. I feel like have these parents been more confident in themselves too, and kind of showing their girls the right way to go and not being so easily manipulated because of money or somebody's status,
for sure.
That probably would have been a whole different situation.
For sure, because the Bible says be anxious for nothing. So, you know, the fact that they want to achieve a place of stardom so bad and want to be singers, want to be on stage, it's like a certain anxiousness within them that, you know, I got to attain success. I got to get my whole family out of this poverty or this situation that we're in right now. I gotta go get it. So you know what? If that means I have to do this for R. Kelly, so I can become a star, and so I can do this, and you know what? I gotta do it. But that's an anxiousness. And God says, be anxious for nothing and have the peace of God within you. So I feel like that's a big thing. You know what I mean? So the Bible says be anxious for nothing. So
it's almost like they took matters within their own hands.
Exactly.
It kind of reminds me of the story in the Bible about Rachel and Leah, right? If you look at it from a different standpoint, Rachel was so anxious to have a child, and like Leah and her servants were having children, but Rachel wasn't. And it literally took for Rachel to pull on God and be like, God, like, you have forgotten me. You need to give me this child now. And once she did that and God saw her desperation, that's when God finally blessed her with a child. And she ended up having a child greater than she even thought because he became a king. So it's kind of showing, people basically have to put their faith in God. They need to realize that, you know what, don't take matters into your own hands because it's not your battle to fight in the first place. So, and even when things are hard right now, tomorrow is going to be a better day. So that's just, this whole thing just reminded me of that.
It's so true. And that's just a piggyback on what you guys were saying too. It's like when we don't realize, like the word says, that our days have been fashioned before us when as yet there were none. We think that we have to take matters into our own hand. We do become anxious. But it's like, listen, he's already fashioned my days, but my life book has already been written. You know, and so if this is what God has for me, it will be for me. You know, I don't have to manipulate my way or to kind of backdoor my way into this. If God has ordered my steps in a way that this is what he has for me, this is part of my purpose, my destiny, he will allow that to come to pass. You know, but when we don't realize that because we don't know who we are in him, we start to take matters into our own hands because we're so anxious. You know, but we have to really be still and know who God is. Know that he actually is God. He's the author and the finisher of our faith. That's what it comes down to.
That's so good.
Okay, so if somebody's looking for professional help and they're going through a traumatic experience like this, who can they contact or confide into?
I think that's a good question. I think it's important to, first and foremost, talk to somebody who you can trust. And so if that's a close friend, if that's your parent, if that's your leader, if that's a mentor or a teacher, the first thing to do is to disclose it because you don't want to carry that with you as if it's your fault and not share that. So the first thing is to just get it out there. Talk to somebody who you trust, who you know isn't going to blame you, but you can talk to them about it. I think after you've been able to share that with somebody, they can help you either find professional help. So there's lots of counselors who specialize in molestation or sexual abuse or child trauma, or even if it's ongoing, who you can talk to as well. Talk to any of your leaders, whether it's your pastor, someone that you trust that you know can help you go through the journey, because it will be a journey. But it's important to know that it's not your fault, and that's why you're going to take that journey with somebody who can hold your hand and walk you through, you know, the point of being rehabilitated and not blaming yourself for that.
All right. Do you guys have anything to add for the podcast today?
It's a rage man thing.
Oh, we did it that a long time.
How did you guys like? I didn't make the update.
No, you've been trying to kill that for a long
For
time.
so long.
Oh,
You guys want to bring
my
it
gosh.
back?
Oh, no. It's good. It's good. I think it's good where it is. It's somewhere in the museum. It's good where it is.
Don't kill me. All right, guys. You guys are good? Yeah.
Yes.
Nothing to add?
It's-
Nothing to say?
Unless you want to talk about something. I mean, I don't know the way she.
It was a pleasure to have you guys. I like to see how, you know, people think differently about the same situation. So I know it's going to bring a lot of opinions. I feel like we're going to get a lot of comments under the video, people agreeing and disagreeing with what we said. But this is a topic to have, and I'm really glad that we could have it in the church environment as well.
sure.
I agree. It's important to have. So Thank
Exactly.
you for having me.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you so much, Mish.
Thank you, Ray.
All right, guys, that's it for our podcast today. Please let us know what you thought about the podcast in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the podcast. And we will see you in our next video. Have a blessed day.
Speed up, speed up, speed up, speed up, speed up, speed up.